have friends who they go out and, well, last time I got drunk, I got arrested, I got a drunk driving ticket, I broke with my girlfriend, you know, I shot my dog, you know, whatever they did to get out of control. And I say, well, you know, obviously you're not someone that can drink. Now, there's a lot of people out there that use drugs casually, maybe on the weekends, maybe once a month, maybe they make a mistake with it in their youth, but then they end up having their lives ruined. And also, I think that the illegality is what's causing so many people to take them now. Because what we do is we create this huge black market and make it very profitable to hook our young people and impressionable people on drugs. That way they become the market for it, and you're worth a lot of money to the drug dealer if they can get you hooked on drugs.
That's right.
So I think there's going to be less.
It creates its own criminal element. If it were legalized and regulated, it would be like alcohol is. I mean, alcohol is the most prevalent drug we have in the world.
Right.
I don't care, cocaine, heroin, whatever you want to call it. You know, alcohol is legal in almost every part of the globe.
Right. Well, you know, there is an aspect of that. I agree with you. But most people use drugs not because it is illegal. Most people use drugs because they have conflict within themselves. And the way they try to deal with that conflict is by escaping it by way of drugs. And what we need to do is to show people how to deal with problems, how to face those problems, rather than using drugs or sex or alcohol or anything else to try to run away from them.
How does prison do that, though?
See, that's a problem. When you imprison these people, you should rehabilitate. Yeah. You should do that. You should show them, have someone to come in at least and show them why they're using the drug, what's the reason, so that they can see it for themselves and start to overcome it.
But don't they do that in our schools now? Don't
Not
we have
really.
a lot of literature and a lot of organizations, perhaps including your organization, that before these children get into drugs, before adults get into drugs and try it, cigarettes, alcohol, any of that stuff, don't we educate them already?
They do, but just to say no is not enough.
Well,
and that's what they're saying, say no. You can't say no to drugs when you have inner conflict, when you're having problems at home, you know, you don't feel good about yourself. It's impossible just to say no to drugs. And most of our public school system especially are screwed up themselves. The teachers are screwed up, the counselors are screwed up, the principals are screwed up. And so they are not capable of helping these children, you know, not to get into drugs or to help them overcome
I think drugs in a lot of cases are, my point of view, I'm actually a liberal. All right. Now you can be a conservative or a liberal libertarian, just as long as you're very unauthoritarian.
Right.
Okay, like the authoritarian, the more authoritarian, the more law enforcement, the people who want, the conservatives that want the government to make other people follow these rules, those would be usually in the Republican Party. The libertarian conservatives, Larry Elders, and other people would be in the Libertarian Party. Same with a liberal. I'm a liberal, I used to be in the Democratic Party, but I don't want the government to come in and make everyone live how I think they should live. And so I'm an authoritarian liberal or a libertarian also. So you end up, rather than the Democratic Party, authoritarian liberal and end up in the Democratic or Green Party. Unauthoritarian liberal would end up in the Libertarian Party. So what you were saying about drugs to me is very telling, because I do think there are problems in our society, but I think drugs are the symptom of a lot of the problems we have in our society. And I think the drug war is attacking that symptom, not attacking the problem and making more symptoms, making the problem
here's the
worse.
Solution. Here's
a criminal scholarship going to jail is like giving these nonviolent drug users a criminal scholarship. And also alcoholism went down after Prohibition was repealed. So I think that drug use will go down as well.
I agree. And the solution, what we're talking about as libertarians to the drug war, is not to say everyone should be out there doing drugs or you know, that sort of thing. What we're talking about is having your own individual right to do that, just like you can with drinking and everything else.
I think that we should have the right to destroy ourselves if we want to.
Right.
If you want to go into your home, the privacy of your home, and you want to drink and smoke drugs and do those things and kill yourself, you have the right to do it. But when it starts to invade someone else's life, your children,
we agree with
your
that.
family, your neighborhood, that's when the law needs to step in, or somebody needs to step in and say, you're out of line.
Well, actually, we don't agree with that. But go ahead.
You don't agree with that?
Well, we don't agree that no one's forcing you to take drugs. No one's going into black communities and forcing crack down anyone's throat. No one's going into the Beverly Hills and forcing cocaine into their noses. They decide to do, and a lot of people do things that are risky. You know, driving cars is a risk. There's sports.
Well, that's why I say if you want to do it in your home, that's fine.
That's what we agree with.
But when you start to affect other people's lives in what you're doing, then it becomes a societal issue.
Right, driving under the influence.
And a lot of children are being destroyed by parents who are using drugs. So it's not just confined to them, they pass it on to their offspring.
For those, I think we already have laws of child abuse, child neglect, and I agree with those laws. I think if you're strung out on heroin or cocaine or whatever, and you can't take care of your kids.
But why agree with that law if you're against the other laws? Because if people want to be strung out,
because it doesn't do
and
any
according
good.
To your rule, if people want to destroy their children, it's their children, they should be able to do what they want to them.
They shouldn't, because the government should be there. Libertarians believe the government.
We're talking about adults.
But
the government should be there to protect people against force and fraud. All right, it includes children, of course, more so with children.
Yes,
in my opinion. Okay, so go ahead.
But how about if it's not a child, maybe a teenager, 17, 18, 19, they see their parents doing it, they think, well, it's okay for me to do it too. Do you think that that should be okay?
I don't think it's okay, but I think that we've seen in the last 30 years that making it against the law is making that problem worse and making us have more of that. That's where we differ. I see it as being futile, making it illegal. It's a medical problem, it's a social problem, it's a religious problem, it's a spiritual problem. I would send them to you, not a jail, or I'd send them to see a Buddhist priest, whatever religion, whatever it is that's going to get them out of it. I once met a person in a jiu-jitsu class who said, you know, every night I used to go out and get stoned. I was looking for dope. And then he wandered into the jiu-jitsu class. Very exciting to learn jiu-jitsu. It's kind of wrestling. It's like a chess game. It's Chinese wrestling, sometimes it's been called that. And he found that was so exciting, he forgot about the drugs as soon as he found that. So we just needed something. This.
You don't want a lawless society.
No, we don't.
You want laws to govern the lawless. And if you doubt me, I would invite you to spend 3 nights in the inner cities of the black community, and you would see what a lawless society would do to you. And the reason I say that, because, you know, I work in the black community. I work with everybody, but we have a system now that allows black lawbreakers to do whatever they want. You know, you can't punish them because they're a minority, is racism and all this crazy stuff. And so you have young people who know that they're not going to be punished at home, and they're not being punished in the schools, and now they're not being punished in the streets because the law can't touch them. And you have an out of control society. And if you should allow drugs to be legal, you're going to have the same thing in the whole country.
Well, I'll respond to that as well. I think that we can double a law enforcement to go after violent crimes and crimes against property and theft. Okay, we can double it by simply taking law enforcement out of treating drug problems, which is a spiritual, a medical, a psychological problem. Okay, it depends on the person, depends on your point of view. For you, it would be a spiritual problem. For other people, that may not help. But I think that we can double our law enforcement efforts and just have them go after the violent people also.
But the people who are committing the crime, a lot of them are high.
Yes, and a lot of those, if they're committing a crime, while they're high or not, they could go to jail. A lot of people get high and they don't commit crimes. So those are the people we want to leave alone. Now, also, a lot of this crime you're talking about is there because of the drug laws, because it creates a criminal black market.
No.
Wait a minute, let me finish. Creates a criminal black market, all right, that most of the crime are people fighting over drug territories, drive-by shootings. All those gangs down there are funded by illegal drugs.
But they're not fighting over drug territory, though. They're fighting over what they think is a family. They think that they own a community. They're fighting over a false sense of self. It's not. I'm sure that you can find pockets of people that are fighting over drugs because the dealers want to be able to sell the drugs, but overall, gang members don't fight over drugs; they fight over territory. You know, they want to feel a sense of ownership because they have not